Hello, Paul Pounds. How are you, lovely lot? So, the shops are open again. Yeah. Um, right. This isn't virtue signalling. This is I need to kind of explain a couple of things about charity shops. So for I don't know how long I've volunteered on my day off from the studio. I go into a local charity shop and I go through their books, records, general antiques and collectibles, and look for things that are a bit that could command a higher value. Um, and I enjoy it. We have a laugh. It's a great bunch of people there, and I do like having a little rummage through stuff just to see what treasures you're going to find. And I've never found any horror books, really. They just never come in. People seem to hang on to them. So at the charity shop, we have a very strict set of rules for what we can and can't put out. And that's standardised from our head office. And that's pretty much the case, I think, for all high street charity shops now. I think the days of when you remember like a fairly grim and piled up charity shop and you just have to have a rummage through and it smells of old clothes, but you find amazing things, those days are gone, and there's standardisation. And I kind of I wanted to go over this a little bit because of the story of how I got these books. So, for example, we can't sell glass if it's chipped. That's a black and white rule. If any glassware or any glass products come in and they're chipped, we're not allowed to sell them for obvious reasons, because you can cut yourself. Now that is hard and fast a black and white rule. So when we got these in, well, I've got a few. They're older Apothecary Bottles. I've got like a strychnine one and all sorts, and they're not moulded at the bottom. They're kind of half moulded and then cut. It's actually quite sharp, cut at the bottom. But they're all chipped. The rims are all chipped, so we couldn't sell them. And it doesn't matter that I'm not brilliant on glassware. I do like a lot of weird collectibles. I'm not brilliant on glassware, but they looked right with the kind of blown, moulded, cut bottoms, and the labels looked right, and the glue on the inside of the labels looks right. And I did tell the manager, and I said, look, I honestly think these have got some age, but we are not allowed to sell them, and the manager will get in hot water if they get sold. Which you can kind of see, because not every branch of the charity shop I volunteer at has someone that can go through all their older donations looking for antiques and collectibles. So we have the same thing with books. We have a lot of books, and we've got a lot of stock of books, and anything that's tatty, anything that smells bad, anything that's not nearly new looking has to go. Now we have a chap that comes and picks them up, and before you panic, I always check through the boxes of books that are going. Some go to other shops if we're overstocked, which happens a lot, but sometimes they're either too badly damaged to sell, and a chap comes and pays us by weight. And we had a big donation in yesterday of books, and they smelt awful. They've been in a smoker's house, and I think a heavy smoker. Now, I've got nothing against smokers. If they ever develop a perfectly safe pipe tobacco, I am back on that bad boy within moments, I tell you. I miss it like mad. I'm not an ex-smoker. I am just a smoker that's stopped for an awfully long time. So we got some books in, and they really smelled very badly of cigarette smoke, to the point where when I was sorting through them, we've got like a big room at the back, obviously, where people are steaming clothes and processing donations. And I was sorting through these books, and everybody in the room was kind of coughing and gagging a tiny bit, just kind of going, "What is that stink?" Now, I'm not too concerned about this book-wise. I recently bought a book from a book dealer that stank of fags. It was foul. With lovely Norman J. Warren, the film director, passing away recently, I rewatched a lot of his films. They are wonderful. And I realised I didn't have the novelisation of Inseminoid. And I can't not. My collection's not like anywhere near complete without a novelisation of Inseminoid. So I bought it from a proper book dealer. It came sealed up in like loads of thick cardboard, and it was sealed in a plastic bag. And as soon as I opened the plastic bag, it honked. It filled my room with a bad smell. And I figured out through various methods of experimentation how to kind of rid books of the cigarette smell, which is basically propping it kind of open and putting it... I've got quite a good dehumidifier. My house does get a bit damp in winter. So I propped it open and put it near the intake vent of the dehumidifier. And it really seems to have pulled the majority of that smoky smell out, and the musty book smell is now overtaking. So when these books came in, and they were very smelly, I thought, right, I can find a way. I'm not bad at getting cigarette smell out of books with my dehumidifier. And I did mention this to the manager, and we desperately overstocked with paperbacks, and we only sell them for 50p each. And she said, well, there's no point putting a lot of work into getting rid of the smell if we've got plenty of books and they're only going to be 50p each. So I can see a point. So I brought a massive bag of them home. I made a donation to the charity for them, and I thought it might be fun for us to go through them together. There's kind of like 3 sections. So there's a couple of war ones. I'm not a big war book fan, actually, but you'll see why I wanted to grab these. And I've got like the Bamboo Gorillas by Guy N. Smith. I was chuffed to find that. So if there's an author that I really, really love and they've done a couple of war books, I tend to grab them. Then there is a big chunk of James Herbert books. Now, I've only read 2 James Herbert books in my life. He's an author I've been wanting to read, but I just haven't really got round to. I think James Herbert, I call it Guy N. Smith syndrome. So for years, I've bought and read Guy N. Smith books and enjoyed them. I haven't necessarily looked after them. I tend not to lend paperbacks out to people. I get a bit snippy about it. And if you're an avid paperback collector, I'm sure that you get that. I'm just sure you get that. But Guy N. Smith books have always been so cheap and plentiful. And when pals have kind of gone, oh, that looks ace, can I borrow that? You take it, mate, it's fine. I can always get another for pence off the market and stuff. And then you wake up one day and you go on all the book search websites, and the cheap Guy N. Smith books that were pence are now a tenner each. And the ones that are slightly hard to find are kind of 30, 40 quid each. And you think, oh no, I've missed that boat. And James Herbert's books are currently plentiful and cheap to get online. And so when I've been book shopping, I've been hunting for rarer stuff, and there's not really been any point where I've run out of rarer stuff to get until I'll start grabbing the James Herberts. So there's a lot of James Herbert books which I'm really looking forward to reading. And then the last bit is just like beautiful horror paperbacks, which one of which I started getting breathless and trembly and couldn't believe that I just stumbled across it. And I did talk to the manager and say, I think this possibly has some value, but there's those hard and fast rules. If it's not in the right condition for the shop, whatever it is, we're not allowed to sell it. So let's sorry, I'm joined by my new little friend. Hello mate, you going to come and say hello? He's called Victor. He's all grizzled and wonky. He's got a wonky ear. There he is. He's an old man and he's very grumpy, and he needed a little home just to come and retire to. And yeah, sorry, I'm just excited. He's only been here like a week. I'm excited. So yeah, let's look at some books. So I've got turned round, and so the first ones are the war ones, which I'm not a big war fan, but they're all by W. Howard Baker, who was Arthur Baker, who essentially wrote a lot of the Peter Saxon books. He created a lot of the whole Peter Saxon thing, and I've been picking up his like detective and hard-boiled type fiction, and I've been really enjoying it. And his war books have been on my radar to get, but I'm not necessarily a big war book fan. So with these popping up at a very, very cheap price, I decided to just grab them all. There is The Dead and the Damned, which does say Bill Recab on the cover, but it is by Howard Baker. And I've been after this one, The Guardians, not because I want to read it, it's just that obviously if you've seen my Peter Saxon video, the guys that did all the investigating in the Guardians books were the Guardians by Peter Saxon, and it's kind of cool. I know it's not a Guardians novel, it's an espionage thriller, as it so clearly states, but it was just like, oh, there's a book called The Guardians by the man that possibly invented the Guardians, and I want it. Book collector logic. I'm sure some of you understand that book collector logic. Let's scoop those away. And let's look at some of the James Herbert ones. Now, there's loads of James Herbert ones because I've got hardly any. But yeah, the ones I've read, literally a couple that I've read. Oops. I've come to really kind of enjoy. There's some lovely New English Library ones. Let's put those to one side and start a new little pile. 48. I haven't read 24, so I don't know if I'll enjoy that. There isn't Rats or Lair. There is Domain. I haven't got Rats or Lair, so I actually bought very, very cheap copies of Rats and Lair online last night, because I love Animal Attack books, so that's a trilogy I've really been wanting to check out. The others, which I do like that cover. Portent, which has got a hole in the cover, which I quite like. They should have you should have got a free finger with it or something. That would have been ace. Fluke, which I must admit I know the premise, and I was a bit I don't know, that's the least appealing one because I'm not a dog person, but we will see. If I enjoy it, I'll give it a fair shot. Let me grab the next pile of James Herbert's. So we've got The Fog, which I've always loved that cover. I think it's brilliant. Moon, with its lovely little moon cut out. And Once, that's also got a hole in the cover. I quite like these. You can get your whole thumb through that one. That one's ace. We could do like finger bobs or something. My American viewers won't know what finger bobs is probably, but Brits of a certain age will know what finger bobs is. We've got Creed, and I've always liked that design of that demony kind of guy. My first girlfriend was a big James Herbert fan back when I was a teen, and I'm really considered getting that as a tattoo just because I like the design. Incidentally, the tattoo I did get was a spider, and the tattooist missed a leg off, which I've still got on my back, so I've got a spider with 7 legs. We've got the Jonah. Haunted, which is one of the ones I've read, but the edition I picked up was really cheap and not the New English Library edition, so for the cost that these were, I thought I'd grab it. And Shrine. So that's all the James Herbert ones. So, on to the mixed bag of lovely vintage horror. Now, as I said before, there is one in this little lot that's a bit of a epic find for me. So, we'll start off with The Scourge by Nick Sharman. That's a really good book. I've got that one. And some of these books are, if I've got duplicates, because they were so cheap and I just grabbed a lot, the bulk of my duplicates have already got another home. This one hasn't. So, at the end of the video, I know it's not a huge giveaway, but someone might like this, so I will tell you how you can win this book at the end of the video. We've got Kodiak, which is another one I've got, but that's already found a home. That's such a good killer bear, like Jaws on land. It's almost like that movie Grizzly, which was Jaws but on land with a bear. We've got Dogs by Robert Calder, an adaptation of the movie. I think David McCallum was in it, was he? Brilliant cover. I really love this cover. Plague by Graham Masterton. That sounds absolutely ace. It's a really lovely Star edition, which I do like, kind of 70s and 80s Star. And basically there's like a new bubonic plague, and they shut a city off where it started, and if you leave the city you get killed, and everybody that's in the city just has to try and find a way to survive. But I thought that was a really cool cover, like an old warning poster type thing. We've got Fear No Evil, which, okay, so this has been on my radar for a little while. It's basically about a couple of stoner dreamers in the States that free loads of animals from a zoo and want to lead them to freedom, and they manage to do that. But the authorities obviously are after them, and loads of big game hunters are after them because if you live in Texas, you don't get a lot of opportunities to shoot yourself an elephant. Every review I've ever read of this book is very scathing. It says it's absolute rubbish. It's like violent, unpleasant, and rubbish. So every time I did read a review of it, my brain was kind of like going, mate, you need to get that. We've got the Chameleon variant. Look at that cover. That's brilliant, isn't it? That's like Buster Blood Vessel from Bad Manners. The only thing that always puts me off about like medical horror, medical bad outbreak type books from that era is that they're always compared to Coma. And I'm not a big fan of Coma. I just think it just doesn't spark my interest. But there's some really good books that I've got that are like, oh, if you enjoyed Coma, you'll love this. And I think it's an unfair comparison, but what a genius cover. There's the Homing by Jeffrey Campbell, who was that was Campbell Black, wasn't it? I've got a couple of his books. Sigmet Active by Thomas Page. Some of these are American editions, so that's a little, I'll put it in camera, that's a charter book. Thomas Page wrote a really good book for Hamlin Published called The Spirit that I really enjoyed. So I don't know anything about that one, I just thought I'd grab that. So we've got Ice Fire by Robert Wilson, which is a lovely Futura book. Just the blurb on the back, I didn't really know this one, but on one side lay the ice and the smouldering peat fires beneath it. On the other, a howling demonic pack of psychotics brilliant. That's like, yeah, I'm in, mate. That'll do for me. And it's a nice kind of cool graphic style cover that Futura did a lot. We've got Dance Hall, which I'd kind of heard of. It's based on a true story, I do believe, about a lady that's murdered and a body dumped in Lake Erie, and eventually she bobs to the surface, very well preserved, and it becomes a gruesome and unsettling murder mystery. Apparently, it's got quite good reviews, so I thought I'd have that. Another nice star one. Check this one out. I love this one. Blood Secrets. I hope that comes up on camera. It's like mirrored with moving concentric circles by Craig Jones. I think that looks quite interesting. It's not too thick. It was published by Corgi. I do quite like kind of late 70s, early 80s Corgi. So yeah, but when I saw that cover, I was suddenly like transported back to a Hawkwind concert. There's Torched by James Blackstone, which I've been after for a little while. And it's got odd values online. You can sometimes find it cheap. Some book dealers have got decent condition copies for like, I think the most I've seen it listed for is about £95. So it's a bit of a weird one, which is a nice Grafton. Grafton did some pretty cool books. I'll have to do a video about Grafton. And last but not least, check this out. And I'm not showing off with this. I am literally so excited, and I'm hoping some of you guys are going to be excited that I've got this. Blight. I've been after this for so long, and it's not that I can't afford it. You know, I've got like Croak by Robin Evans, and that's not a rare book, that's an expensive book, but you can find copies. It's going to cost you like 40-50 quid when you do find it, but there's plenty of copies out there. It's just an expensive book. Whereas Blight, I have really struggled to find, and it's on my regular checklists for like Amazon Marketplace and ABE Books and all sorts of online book shopping places for second-hand books. And I've got it set so I get alerts, and there's never any listed. Very, very occasionally one will be listed in America, but with current postage things, I mean, if you live in the UK and you're looking at, I'll turn it over so you can read the back. If you live in the UK and you're looking at postage from the States, a lot seem to have this standard thing of 50 quid. So if it's a book that you really, really, really want, and you think, yeah, I can afford 40 quid, it's not, it's 90 quid because you've got 50 quid postage and then possibly import fees at the minute. So yeah, I started trembling a little bit when I pulled that out of the box, and I feel like I like working at the charity shop because I like the people, and I feel like I'm doing a little bit of good. I can't afford to give money to charity, but I feel like I'm giving some of my time to charity, and I've never had an astounding horror score from the charity shop, but yesterday I did. I got Blight. So yeah, that's what I've got. So The Scourge. It's not an expensive book. It's normally there he is. It's normally about 5-8 quid with postage. It's creeping up a little bit, but if you want this copy, I will treat that I've done this one. This one's been overnight next to the dehumidifier, and it doesn't really have a smell of anything. What I want you to do is I want you to like the video and then leave a comment and tell me what you think this person is currently looking at to make them kind of go, oh! It can be funny or something unsettling or whatever you think will amuse or entertain me to sit and read through the comments. I'm really sorry. It's not, I can't post it to the States, or it's just for people in the UK. With COVID and postal things the amount of people posting totally increasing and all that kind of stuff. It's a bit hit and miss whether it gets there, and it is kind of expensive to send. The closing date is next Thursday, the 22nd of April 2021. And that gives people a week to watch my video and have a think and comment. It's not like a huge prize, but I just thought I'd share a little bit of the splendid book find with you, lovely lot. I will comment on your video. I'll give you my email address. You will then need to send me your postal address, and I'll send it to your registered post. I think that sounds fair. I've never really done a competition or a giveaway or anything like that before, but the few that I have already got, I've rehomed. Sorry, I'm still being helloed at. I've already rehomed, so that's like a little homeless paperback. So if you fancy it, you know what to do. So thank you for watching from me, and he's actually called Victor Von Doom. His name was Victor, so I added the Von Doom. So from me and Victor, thank you very much for watching, and he don't look very interested. We'll see you in the next video.